104.9
Coyote Country.
Real Country with Robert Miguel.
It's 104.9 Coyote Country. Good morning. I'm Robert Miguel. Man, I'm looking forward to the big show. River Rock Fest is tonight at Joe Jimmy's at Neal's Lodges in beautiful Concan, Texas. Now, admittedly, the weather could be a little bit better, but rain or shine, man, we're going to rock tonight with Guns 4 Roses, a tribute to the music of Guns N' Roses. And with me on the phone, Mark, who's the lead singer, right? You're the Axl.
That's what I do. They tell me to come into town and do my thing, so I come in to do the authentic Guns N' Roses show every time we come out.
Okay, so Mark, now you're from out of state. Now Guns 4 Roses is kind of, for the most part, stationed out of Dallas. You have a guy in Oklahoma, and then where are you from?
Oh, I live out on the West Coast, the Northwest. I'm where it rains all the time. I'm actually in Portland, Oregon.
Wow, okay, man. So you're making quite the journey out here to Southwest Texas, although this area is beautiful. Now, you've played in Concan before, have you not?
I have, and I'm sorry, I can't remember exactly when we were there last. I was noticing your phone number, your Uvalde, Texas. I know we've been there a number of times for a couple other events. I want to say, gosh, it couldn't have been more than 2 months ago. We were somewhere in the area and did another event for you. But we love the area. It's the fans just kind of eat up the Guns N' Roses thing. So I think we ought to call that our second home, really.
Did you guys play on maybe one of the Palomino Fests at some point?
That does sound familiar.
So many shows, right?
But yeah, well, coming from the West Coast, I kind of get lost in a lot of the details.
Sure. Well, you're the lead singer, man. You got people to think for you, right?
Yeah, I just have to remember the words. That's about it.
That's right. That's a harder job than some people might think, man. GNR's got an extensive catalog. So,
exactly.
So you are the lead vocalist of a Guns N' Roses tribute band. Tell me, Mark, what makes a guy decide to be in a Guns N' Roses tribute band? Obviously, you can do the material, right?
Well, there's that. I mean, the first criteria, I guess, is to have the physical ability to be able to pull it off. Like,
right.
Having a guitar player that can actually play all the slash parts. That's really important. Secondly, it's having the passion to do so, because just because you can do it doesn't necessarily mean you want to do it.
Sure.
So I love it. I've loved this music my entire life, and going out there, I think it shows. Everybody in the band is passionate about what they do and what their role is, whether Duff being Duff and Slash being Slash and Izzy and Steven and Axl, myself, and our Dizzy, keyboard player. Everybody loves what their job is, so it comes across on stage.
Well, I'm looking at your one of your press photos on your Facebook page, and you look a lot like, at least in the photo, you're done up pretty good to look like classic Axl. Now, Axl doesn't even look like Axl anymore, but you do a good job of looking, fit and trim, just like the classic glory days of Axl Rose.
Yeah, well, exactly. Nobody wants to really see Fat Elvis. If you could go back in time and watch the best form of whatever it is. If you were watching, say, the Beatles and you wanted to see them in their youth, or you wanted to see the Rolling Stones in their youth, or Elvis Presley in their youth, or Van Halen in their youth, that's a lot of what people expect. They expect us to take care of ourselves and perform like they did between 87 and 92. So that's what our goal is.
Well, right on, man. You definitely have the look, and I'm sure you got the sound. I haven't seen you guys yet personally, but you know what? Joe Jimmy's and Neal's Lodges only books the best in tribute acts. Matter of fact, the following night, tomorrow, Saturday, Back in Black will be back over there doing their tribute to AC/DC. I'm sure you guys have gigged with them at some point, right?
Oh, a number of times.
Yeah.
I was just messaging one of them day before yesterday. In fact, because I am from out of the area, I lose track of what their schedule is, and wasn't even aware that they were going to be doing the show with us. So, it was kind of nice to touch base with them and find out that they're actually going to be on the bill as well. So it's going to be a nice little reunion.
Yeah, it's going to be a great time. A whole big throwback weekend tonight and tomorrow. Neal's Lodges at Joe Jimmy's in Concan. They got a nice little stage out there. It's a beautiful area. Like I said, hope the weather stays nice for us. But it's going to be a fantastic rock event. Now, as far as the music of Guns N' Roses, what's your set look like? I mean, we're a country station, man, but I come from a rock background, so I'm happy to talk about all the great Guns N' Roses hits you guys are going to do.
As far as the set list, I'm looking at it right now,
okay.
And we could always vary it up, because it's one thing to stick to a set. Sometimes it's nice to be able to throw a curveball into the middle of it, but
yeah.
You get everything from the classic era. I mean, the collection that they made, the Appetite for Destruction stuff, has to be played. Things off of the GNR Lies album and things off of both of the Use Your Illusion albums are included as well. And then there may even be a surprise or two that are in the mix. I don't know if you want to know specifically what we're playing, but you can expect a little bit from all the records.
Well, does that include Chinese Democracy, that ill-fated, long overdue, terrible record?
Well, there's a couple ways that you could look at that. I mean, who is it fair to? I know that their reunion tour that's going on right now has Slash and Duff playing songs off of that album that they had no part in writing and no part in recording. For a tribute band to go out, and the only person who's really paying tribute to that record would be the singer, Axl. So the other guys are being forced to play music that they had nothing to do with. So not to take one away from the fans, but I think it's sort of a, what do you want to do to stay true to yourself as a tribute artist? We really should pay homage to the original Carnation, or at least that with Matt Sorum, if you've got a different drummer in the mix. Probably stay away from Chinese Democracy, and that'll hurt the feelings of the biggest fans.
The hardest core of the hardcore, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think most people are really going to know. But I mean, I know Chinese Democracy. I know the album backward and forward, and I think there's some good material on that. But a lot of people would argue that it just is not Guns N' Roses.
Well, and again, I only bring it up because I'm hoping you don't play anything off of it. So I'm perfectly happy, like you said, with the 87 and 92 stuff. That's clearly their best era, and what I think the fans expect, especially in the sense that you're a tribute act. It makes sense that you would kind of stick to the hits, if you will. My take on sticking to the hits, exactly. It's like I like the songs that are the hits: The Sweet Child of Mine, The Welcome to the Jungle, Paradise City, of course, Patience, Don't Cry, that kind of thing. I love the hits. But, Guns N' Roses would never do a show that was just hits. Right.
And that's
absolutely.
Another part of being a good tribute is to try to do what they would do live. And that's where throwing in a big curveball right in the middle of the show where people go, wow, I never thought they were going to do this, or you just don't know exactly what's going to happen.
Well, I'll say this: if you guys can pull off like maybe "Live and Let Die," I'd be stoked. So, but we're talking to Mark here, the lead vocalist, and Axl Rose of Guns for Roses, a tribute to Guns N' Roses, performing tonight, Joe Jimmy's stage at Neal's Lodges in beautiful Concan, Texas. Now, tickets will be available at the door. You might want to get a room out there, spend the weekend, make a weekend of it, and catch Back in Black, the AC/DC tribute as well. Now, as far as your vocal prowess, obviously you got a great strong voice because you can do the Axl stuff. What do you find yourself listening to, or rather, what do you find yourself singing, when you're not on stage with the tribute act? And does your voice reflect that Axl thing, or is that something you put on pretty heavily?
I've been doing this for a long time. I've been actually singing as Axl for 15 years.
Wow.
And it's the more you do it, the character kind of becomes you. And it's not just the way you sing. Like, I find myself doing, like, I go out with friends and, do karaoke or something like that, and you're having to pull your voice away from that character.
Yeah.
It gets difficult, especially if, let's say, I decided I wanted to do another character with another band, trying to not do the Axl Rose moves, that familiar snake dance kind of thing. That to do that, let's say I was doing a Bon Jovi tribute or something, and you start to move like that on stage, people would see it, especially if they know me.
Right.
Then I would never hear the end of it. They'd give me so much garbage for doing that on stage that it's hard, though, because it really does become part of your personality.
No, absolutely. Like, for instance, we're talking about Back in Black. That guy, he does a fantastic job of embodying two different lead singers, during one show, and he does them both, spot on, like super good. And that's pretty amazing to do. So, obviously, and he's had years of practice, doing those two personas. So I'm just kind of wondering, what do you like? Obviously, you're a big Guns N' Roses fan. That's why you're doing this. What do you find yourself listening to from back in the day, and what do you listen to these days?
I still find myself listening to a lot of the music from the '80s, the classic MTV era stuff, things you would have heard on KZEW in Texas back in the day, or KGON in LA, or Pirate Radio. Those stations. I mean, the hard rock. Butt rock or glam rock, if you will. I still like a lot of that. But the roots of all of those, they come from the Led Zeppelins and the old Aerosmiths and Cheap Trick and, the Ramones. I mean, I don't typically find songs that if I can't latch on to the vocals and the harmonies in the vocals, then I don't really care as much. I love Robin Zander's voice.
Oh, yeah.
But I love Elton John as well, and Freddie Mercury. I mean, it's a lot of the influences of Axl just happen to be things that I like a lot, and I don't do them all as well as I do Axl. I like to tell people that I do what I do. You know, when they say, "Oh, you're a great singer and you should do, you know, The Voice or American Idol," and it's like, no, there's people out there that have a variety of things that they do really well. But this one thing that I do really well, and that one I will always confess that it's like, this is my favorite because this is what I'm known for. But I love singing Cheap Trick. Xander's got a great voice.
Well, I got one more question now because we are a country station, and there's not a wrong answer to this question. So, do you find yourself listening to any country music at all? And if so, what's that for a rocker like yourself?
Oh, it's interesting. Modern country is hard. I'm not exposed to enough of it. But I lived in Texas, actually. I lived in Abilene, Texas in the early 80s, and I find that a lot of the country music from that period, I like T.G. Shepherd, and I loved Eddie Rabbitt. You know, I loved the stuff from the early 80s.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the more commercial crossover stuff, Garth Brooks and Shania Twain stuff, I thought was really interesting because it had more of a rock edge to it. I don't know enough of it now to say that I don't have any problems with country music. I think if I was going to be writing more songs today, they would probably have more of a country feel. I don't know what it would sound like, you know, with my rock influences and a country inspired lyric, let's say.
Yeah.
You know, hard to say what it would sound like. It might be pretty interesting.
Well, again, no wrong answer to that question, but you know what? Actually, that's pretty good stuff, man, because me too, man. I love that early 80s, you know, kind of more of a pop, you know, crossover country. And then, of course, the early 90s to mid-90s were that's classic country era. Like you said, the Shanias, the Garth, Alan Jackson, that era was just fantastic.
Well,
but
yeah, and the big show, you know, when you got a country act out there that puts on a like a Kiss-inspired
a spectacle, absolutely.
Make it a zoo. I love that.
They definitely brought the showmanship in the 90s. Well, again, we've been talking to Mark here, the lead vocalist for Guns Four Roses, tribute to Guns N' Roses, performing tonight at Neal's Lodges in Concan. Of course, Mark, you play the part of Axl Rose, and you do it well. One final, you know, question before I get out of here. Of course, you guys probably make a great living doing the tribute act. Obviously, you know, you're jet setting around the country doing it. But do any of you guys hold any day jobs? Any of you guys suit and tie guys? And if so, give me some examples of what the band does.
Oh, let's see. Well, two of the guys in the band are actually working as electrical engineers.
Wow.
So our Duff, the guy who plays Duff McKagan, and our Dizzy Reed, our keyboard player, they actually are partners in crime doing the electrical engineering work. So they are the brains of the operation, if you will.
All right.
One of the guys works in Oil Futures. That would be our drummer. I'm full-time musician. I have a couple other side projects, but I'll keep those under wraps for now.
I like that secret identity.
Yeah, well, you know, I don't want to spoil the illusion. If somebody starts looking at me on stage and picturing me in another outfit, then it kind of spoils what they believe. So as far as they're concerned, I am Axl Rose. Yeah, the other guys, it's not really suit and tie stuff, but it's just kind of filling the holes in the off time because most of our work generally comes, you know, Friday to Monday. Mm-hmm. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday can be whatever you want it to be. You know, I find myself working in real estate and property management on the outside. It's not my business. I'm working for somebody close, but, you know, it just seems to be a good filler for me.
Well, right on, man. Mark, it's been really great talking to you, getting to know you, getting to know the man behind the persona, and we are totally excited about the show tonight again at Joe Jimmy's, the big outdoor venue at Neal's Lodges in beautiful Concan, Texas, part of the River Rock Fest going on this weekend in Concan. So, man, Mark, thanks again for taking a few minutes talking to us about Guns for Roses, a tribute to Guns N' Roses. Where can we find you guys online and everything?
Facebook's going to be your best bet. Just look for Guns for Roses out of Dallas, Texas. We have an ongoing and always changing list of upcoming events and shows. We've got things that are coming on in Mansfield, Texas, Abilene, Texas. I think we got another one in Houston, Texas coming up. And then there's always things in the works for outside of the state as well. Last year we got into Canada and Mexico and out to New York and Florida, and we play through the Midwest up and down right above you guys there some too. So there's always a lot of things in the works.
Well, man, it sounds like you guys are dominating the rock scene, bringing us some good stuff. So, again, man, we're looking forward to seeing you guys tonight. Hopefully, we can, shake hands and grab a beer this evening. But, man, thanks again, man. Have a great trip, and we'll see you tonight, okay?
I appreciate it, Robert. We'll see you there.
Real Country with Robert Miguel.
Coyote Country.
104.9.